You're in the Business Insurance Zone with me, Steve Savant, national financial columnist and color commentator. Today on the Biz Marketing Campaign Series. Start the new year out with marketing campaign specialist and international speaker, Anthony Morris, right here on the Business Insurance Zone.
When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone. I'm your host, Steve Savant, and we're broadcasting live to a nationwide audience of financial advisors right here in Fountain Hills, Arizona, home of America's largest fountain. And day 3 with us, marketing guru, Anthony Morris. Hey, Anthony.
Thank you, Steve. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. And all this week we've been talking about Anthony. We're giving Anthony's top 10 boilerplate segments throughout our entire week series. If you didn't catch Monday, Tuesday show, you need to hop back out to our site, www.brokersalliance.com. As soon as you come to our homepage, you'll see a big red on-demand button all the way in the upper corner. Go ahead and click on it and catch Anthony's Monday and Tuesday show. And on top of that, we're going to be giving away, as part of one of our giveaways, Anthony has 52 2 minutes, somewhere in that vicinity, video vignettes on client building campaigns. We're going to be giving you 5 of those and something else at the break I'll tell you about. And I want you to understand, think about this, 52 sales. I mean, wow, that's a lot of material. But this segment, we're going to talk about a little bit about charitable giving, philanthropic giving. And you know, when we just closed out a year and we did a lot of end of the year tax planning in December, we did a lot of charitable giving. We actually had people form their own nonprofit foundations, IRS approved, of course. But let's talk a little bit about it, because you have another, as I call them, antheisms. He has a different take. He has a little mantra. You have a little different take on charitable giving. Talk about it.
Well, let's just role play this out, Steve.
Oh, here we go.
The best way to help the poor is to make sure that you're not one of them. Mm-hmm. And then to give back massively to those less fortunate in your community using other people's money. Whose money? The life insurance company's money. Mm-hmm. In fact, I have a number of our coaching attendees who carry a business card around without a logo on, without a mutual fund dealer license number on there that says, best way to help the poor is to make sure you're not one of them. And on the flip side it says, and then to give back massively to those less fortunate than you using other people's money. Today's business client, today's high wealth client at the top of Maslow's hierarchy really, really wants to give back.
Now, let's stop. You used the word. I want to make sure everybody gets it. Whose hierarchy?
Maslow's hierarchy.
Just explain that for a second and then move on.
Well, Maslow's hierarchy is that you meet your basic needs at the bottom, and as you move up the triangle towards the top, self-actualization is, and now that you've looked after yourself and your family, how do you look after your universe? How do you look after the community, Steve, that put you where you are as a business owner? Mm-hmm. And Steve, if I could show you a couple of ideas for pennies on the dollar at the stroke of a pen, that you could release hundreds of thousands of dollars into your community when you're no longer here, so that you could enshrine your legacy forever in the community that helped you create your business and your own personal financial security.
How up the food chain is the psychological profile for wealthy and the affluent to leave a legacy to their community? How high up there is that?
It's very high up in terms of their needs, but I need to tell you, this conversation covers, your middle class person as well. For an extra $50 a month, if your financial advisor can show you a way, with the owner and the beneficiary of that policy being the local church, the local women's shelter, that special group that does amazing things for less fortunate people, it's another sale, it's another opportunity to help those less fortunate. It's another high-end conversation to be having with your client. Good friend of mine, Bruce Etherington in Canada, has got $1 billion on the books that'll pay out to not-for-profits, foundations and charities when his client base dies. Well, wind a couple of zeros off that and start telling your clients, I'm looking to raise $10 million this year for charities, not-for-profits and foundations in Fountain Hills. Can you help me? Would you be willing to make a couple of changes to your planning and get on board in terms of my campaign?
And you found people are actually open to this.
They're very open to it, and more specifically, if you start approaching the charities, if you go to Pastor Michael at the local Baptist church, if you go to the president of the local Rotary Club, who has a Rotary Foundation, and you start running evenings of giving, let me tell you about a fabulous video that you can use. You can get it from the $1 Million Roundtable Video Club or from our website. Bill Strickland, Genius at Work. And Strickland's 37-minute video about the art centers that he built for the less privileged kids in the middle of the worst part of Pittsburgh is the best way to show what's possible when one person has some financial support in terms of helping the less privileged. We've got evenings of giving running all over Canada, all over some of my United States clients, where they get 20, 30, 40 Rotarians together with their friends and family, take a look at the video and make a decision that night to leave behind $50,000 or $100,000 to the Rotary Foundation or to Pastor Michael at the local church. Because if he has that money coming through people's estates long term, you wouldn't believe the difference that can be made. And this is the new conversation that your high wealth individual is looking to have in terms of leaving behind a legacy and bringing real money to their wealth.
When I think about, you mentioned, because I get that with the affluent, I get that with the wealthy, but you actually made a little comment that there might be a way for regular middle class Americans to do this at not very much money. We're not talking a lot of money here.
Well, we're talking about a client who's been approved for a $150,000 life insurance policy. Why wouldn't you look to put $180,000 or $200,000 worth of coverage on the books, with that second policy being owned and the beneficiary being their charity? These are folks who are going to church on a Sunday and putting $10 or $20 in the offering plate anyway. And so you're just offering them that opportunity to enshrine their legacy of giving long term through their favorite charity.
When I think about it, remember, many middle Americans have benevolent hearts. They're very giving people. They have big hearts, but they have small wallets. But it doesn't take much with the leverage and the miracle of life insurance to actually make their legacy come true and actually give back to their favorite charity. So many people have churches and nonprofits and different places that they want to contribute in their charity, in their charitable giving. So I always keep thinking, oh, this is for the affluent or the uber wealthy. But you're saying, no, this is a whole base that you can expand into charitable giving.
Absolutely, and meet them in groups by embracing that charity or not-for-profit as the door opener to those potential donors, because they all have lists of their favorite donors.
Well, when we come back from the break, we're going to continue our talk with Anthony Morris about his marketing campaigns that can change your practice, build out your business. And hey, don't forget to enroll in our IULUniversity.com for the best training, education, sales support when it comes to life insurance for retirement income.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.
Did you know the average 401k runs out of money just 7 to 8 years into retirement? Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, and many other publications have warned of the difficulty of saving with a 401k. But what if there was a way to create tax-free lifetime retirement income with no stock market risk? Good news, there is.
You know, living in fear of the next market dive is not the way I want to live my life.
Why would I go out there and take on risk when I don't need to?
I have a lot less stress knowing I can't lose any more of my retirement savings in the stock market.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation analysis of what this retirement vehicle could do for you, a comparison to your current retirement plan, and a free video that explains this exciting opportunity. Start planning a retirement you can enjoy instead of worrying about future tax increases and stock market losses. Creating income that will last your entire life is the most important thing you'll ever do. Take control of your future. Call now for your free analysis, comparison, and video.
Well, welcome back to Business Insurance Zone. I'm Steve Savant with Anthony Morris. And remember, you can order today's giveaways at thebiz@brokersalliance.com. And what are we giving away? Conversations for Cash, Anthony's online ebook. Just write us at thebiz@brokersalliance.com. And we're going to also throw in 5 of Anthony's video vignettes in his big series, his 52 video vignette series. Anthony, it's an anthology. Client building campaigns. We're going to give you 5 of those. Just say, Steve, I want that. Just write me, thebiz@brokersalliance.com, and I'm happy to send it to you. Now, we're talking, before we move forward, because sometimes we're talking a little bit about charitable giving and some of these things that take tactics. Before moving forward with any of the ideas we talk about on the show, always consult your tax advisor and attorney, and if you're FINRA licensed, always talk to your broker-dealer compliance department before going forward. We're talking about marketing campaign strategies, and in this segment, we're talking about getting your neighborhood seeking your advice. Now, just a little side note here to Steve Savant. In my neighborhood, I live in a huge geriatric zone. I must be the youngest guy on the whole block. And everybody's always asking me about Medicare, Medigap, just because they know we do the show. But I'd like to know, how can I get a regular guy that may not have a television show, a regular guy, a regular advisor, how can I get into my neighborhood and create an atmosphere where I become the premier provider of financial information for my neighborhood?
Well, I think, Steve, what we've got to do is we've got to get advisors out there in marketing again. You know, the impact of hyper-compliance regulation legislation, financial intelligence changes in terms of documentation, knowing your client and everything else, has been that we have reduced the number of marketing practices, ideas and concepts that we're conversing about as an advisor population. And I'm a specialist in teaching these to advisors. So for example, a question I would ask your viewers is, how many people on your street actually know that there's an advisor, John Jones or Julie Jones, who lives down at number 23? What is a fabulous way of introducing yourself to the 100 or 150 closest neighbors? And I'll use a housing community as an example because it tends to work better than in a condo or apartment situation. You go to your local neighborhood food bank, and round about Thanksgiving, Christmas and Easter are great times to do this, and you let them know that you'd like to do a neighborhood food drive. And so a letter goes on the doorknob of all 100, 150 closest neighbors to you that says, me and my family feel privileged for enjoying the lifestyle that we enjoy like yourself. And as we approach the holiday season, we become more aware of those less fortunate. We'll be by with a truck 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock next Wednesday evening. If you'd like to leave a box of non-perishable food items, attached is the list from the food bank about their preferred resources. We'll be sure to pick it up and make sure that you're appropriately thanked. That goes on the doorknob of 100 to 150 neighbors. You then take a picture of the 1 ton of food, sounds like a Chinese restaurant, and the 1 ton of food, you publish it in the local newspaper, you send a thank you note to all 150 neighbors. Thanks for those that participated in the food drive. Here's a picture of the 1 ton of food that we collected. A week later, on people's doorknobs goes the third note that says, during our recent neighborhood food drive, so many of you inquired about my work in my professional capacity as the neighborhood financial advisor. I wanted to include some financial resources, a sample financial plan, and the kinds of questions and issues which folks may have about their retirement. Love to visit with you for 30 minutes for a relaxed exchange of ideas over a cup of coffee in my home or in your home. Whether it's that or a pumpkin carving competition that you have in the neighborhood, or you barbecuing burgers outside the local shopping mall on a Saturday morning, raising money for a local charity with a big sign behind you that says, if your money is managed by me, help yourself to a burger for free, and the folks are gravitating around for a conversation and a burger, buy a burger for the local charity, support an underprivileged soccer team or whatever. We've got to get out there. We are chained to our desk too often, and we've got to get out there and we've got to get visible and with no fear of loss introduce ourselves to everybody in our immediate geographical locale.
Well, Anthony, you just changed the planetary thinking here. I mean, we're always so conditioned. Hey, it's seminars, it's radio. I mean, nothing wrong with that. We're going to get into that tomorrow and Friday. But when we're looking at things that we don't really think about, this is really outside the 9 dots. This is outside convention.
Well, you know, we have the opportunity of sponsoring things in our neighborhood. We have the opportunity of getting out there and getting our name out there in a very value-adding, warm and embracing way. And I think that we need to get back to the people side of the business in our market.
And I didn't hear high cost on this. This is a low expense load.
Oh, absolutely.
From a campaign point of view.
Yeah, we're not talking about spending money on anything, any fancy printing or anything else. We're talking about the opportunity of giving of your time in a value-adding way. I'm
wondering if we really pick up sometimes, I think we forget as advisors, that there's some bit of PR to our practice. There's a bit of campaigning to get our name, our brand recognition out there on the street. And we're always thinking of this higher clientele, and our neighborhood is right there, the people we live with.
Well, yeah, but there's also, you know, coming from a media background yourself, Steve, that there's the PR goodwill that goes with it. So you don't just do the neighborhood food drive, but when you do collect the 1 ton of food, you put a challenge out through the local community newspaper, through the local radio station, of challenging other financial advisors or other suburbs to meet or beat your best in terms of how much food you collected for the food bank. And you take that picture of yourself in that article, you put it out through social media, you frame it and put it in your office, you send it to tomorrow's prospect before you visit with them so that they can see that you're not just someone who sells financial products, but you're someone who's engaged and involved in the community. And your integrity and professional credibility and authenticity are immediately improved.
Well, I love ideas that are unconventional, that have low budget and high impact and value to the community. I think you hit the trifecta there. So that's unbelievable. Anthony, when we think about it, tomorrow we're going to be talking about a couple of ideas that are going to be, I think, classic ideas to you to put into your practice. I think it can help you expand your business and have an impact where you become a premier provider in the neighborhood that you're in. And remember, you can watch this show and all our shows by clicking the red On Demand button right on our homepage at brokersalliance.com. Well, that's the Buzz on the Biz for today. Get in the zone, the business insurance zone.
You're listening to the insurance industry's #1 resource for products, planning ideas, carrier information, and interviews you can use. When it comes to life insurance, annuities, long-term care, disability, or group pension plans, we're the news you can use.